more in the next segment.
But has Hillary ever said she lost the 2016 election?
Yeah, she called Donald Trump and conceded.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country.
Why wouldn't Joe Biden, caring about the voters, saying, you know what, this is wrong. If I have nothing to do with this, they should not have this trial right now so the American people could actually spend time on what the issues are.
So you're saying you did want President Biden, you do want him to meddle with the justice system just in favor of Donald Trump.
No, I want his opinion to be fair. Who in America thinks it's right that if Joe Biden was in trial right now beforehand, or that President Trump?
But these people should be indicted. This was the greatest political crime in the history of our country, and that includes Obama, and it includes Biden.
If you think the ultimate embarrassment for ex-Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy was that time it took 15 attempts for him to become the Speaker of the House, or that time his own party kicked him out of that role in an historic defeat, just wait till you see his most recent interview on the Fox Propaganda Network, where the host repeatedly humiliates him with his own lies and hypocrisy. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, I was going back and forth as to whether or not I was going to cover this because Kevin McCarthy is no longer the Republican Speaker, and he resigned from Congress at the end of last year, so he's no longer an elected official. But he was also the best fundraiser that the Republicans have. He's still active in Republican politics, and he still makes the media circuit on behalf of Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans just outside of elected office. And when he disgraced himself so utterly, despite a home turf advantage, he's on the Fox Propaganda Network and was probably expecting a softball interview. I just thought, well, we have to talk about it, especially because the things that he says, the lies and hypocrisy that he spews during this interview, in which he gets called out by the host, these are things that Republican elected officials to this day continue to regurgitate. So we got to talk about it. We're going to start with this clip in which Kevin McCarthy makes not only just the ultimate lie, but the ultimate false equivalence. And tell me if you've heard this one before.
These people talk about a democracy.
Danger to democracy.
They are the dangers to try to deny democracy to this country. This is really concerning to me, what the Biden and the Democrats have done. I mean, I
want to get into the trial more in the next segment.
But has Hillary ever said she lost the 2016 election?
Yeah, she called Donald Trump and conceded.
But she never in press ever says that. She says it was...
She did call...
Did Hillary Clinton ever say that Donald Trump won the 2016 election? Yeah, she called him. She publicly conceded. Well, besides that time, I mean, so embarrassing. I want to show you this clip because this is something that Republicans do time and time again. We've talked about this. As a reminder, this is what Hillary Clinton said within hours of Donald Trump's putative victory in November 2016.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much for being here. And I love you all, too. Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country. I hope that he will be a successful president for all Americans.
She called him to privately concede. She gave a public live speech, which was aired on ABC and all the major networks. So she did it in front of an audience and then in front of a mass audience, which was covered on the major news networks. And she publicly wished him well. And then, in her capacity as a former first lady, she attended his inauguration. Okay, so let's be very clear. I mean, it's funny that Howard Kurtz, the Fox propaganda host, like he said, yeah, actually, no, she did concede. And you can just see the panic on Kevin McCarthy's face because he either didn't know that or he completely forgot about it. And it completely undermines his point. It's something that we've talked about quite a bit on this channel. MAGA Republicans and enlightened centrists will bend over backwards to pretend that Republicans and Democrats are equally dangerous to democracy. And they'll use Hillary Clinton as an example because once or twice in the aftermath of Donald Trump's victory over her, she referred to him as an illegitimate president. And the notion was being, he didn't have a popular vote mandate. He wasn't supported by the majority or even the plurality of the electorate. And we knew that Russia had put its thumb on the scale to try to get him elected. Now, I still say that that's probably an irresponsible phrase, but let's be very clear. She publicly conceded. She privately conceded. She recognized that by the rules of our democratic republic, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Donald Trump has never conceded the 2020 election, publicly or privately, to President Biden. He hasn't done it. He tried to litigate his way into a second unelected term in 60 court cases. Hillary Clinton didn't try to do that. He conspired with his vice president, or tried to pressure his vice president, Mike Pence, to not certify the results of his defeat. Hillary Clinton didn't try to do that with then Vice President Joe Biden. She didn't try to get then President Obama to put his thumb on the scale. It didn't happen. There was no January 6th insurrection in 2017 led by Democrats, the way there was a January 6th, 2021 insurrection fomented by Donald Trump. There's just absolute no basis, no rational basis to suggest that these two situations and these two people are comparable. And Kevin McCarthy knows that, right? Which is why even Howard Kurtz seems to dismiss it out of hand. Before I play the next clips, I want to remind you too, they do this all the time with other things as well. So Donald Trump recently ranted about needing immunity, absolute immunity for presidents. If immunity is not granted to a president, every president that leaves office will be immediately indicted by the opposing party. And of course, he's panicking because he feels that he's entitled to absolute immunity so he doesn't get, thrown in jail. And I put this on Twitter. I said, as Trump/MAGA bitch about prosecuting ex-presidents and political rivals, this is your daily reminder that then President Trump publicly called for Attorney General Bill Barr to prosecute Joe Biden, his political rival, and Barack Obama, an ex-president. So they have no credibility on this issue, so we should mock them. It's the same thing. There is no credible basis for which Kevin McCarthy or any Republican have to suggest that they're even on the same playing field with Democrats with respect to democracy. Republicans are just objectively far worse on this, and there's no equivalence with Hillary Clinton. A couple more clips to play.
Powerful companies that get news couldn't repost a story.
Right.
So why wouldn't
Twitter was involved in that? Yeah.
To be fair, why wouldn't the president take a different position? Why wouldn't Joe Biden, caring about the voters, saying, you know what, this is wrong. If I have nothing to do with this, they should not have this trial right now so the American people could actually spend time on what the issues are.
Hold on. So
I think that would be the real position for this Biden to take.
So you're saying you did want President Biden, or you do want him to meddle with the justice system just in favor of Donald Trump?
No, I want his opinion to be fair. I want his opinion to look for the American people in fairness. Who in America thinks it's right that if Joe Biden was in trial right now beforehand, or that President Trump? And really,
the thing is, and again, we'll just go ahead and play the clip. This is so important. I love doing this. Folks, you should take such delight in this. Generally speaking, we Democrats, we progressives, we liberals, those of us who are not conservatives, we generally have the moral superiority and the greater command of the facts anyway. But I just love doing this. I just love reminding people of what Donald Trump said when he was the sitting president of the United States.
Crimes, the greatest political crime in the history of our country, then we're going to get little satisfaction unless I win, and we'll just have to go, because I won't forget it. But these people should be indicted. This was the greatest political crime in the history of our country, and that includes Obama, and it includes Biden.
So that was Donald Trump as the then sitting president of the United States saying, it was in October 2020, prior to the election, that Joe Biden, his political rival, and President Obama should be indicted. So when Kevin McCarthy says stupid things like this,
I want his opinion to be fair. I want his opinion to look for the American people in fairness. Who in America thinks it's right that if Joe Biden was in trial right now beforehand, or that President Trump?
Donald Trump tried to make that a reality when he was the sitting president. He tried to put Joe Biden in legal jeopardy. He tried to get him indicted, right? And he actually, unlike Biden, made a public statement to that effect. We have no evidence, none whatsoever, that President Biden has ordered or pressured the prosecution of Donald Trump by Attorney General Garland or Special Counsel Jack Smith. No evidence, none. We, on the other hand, have evidence that Donald Trump has done just that. So again, Kevin McCarthy's a liar, which is why Howard Kurtz is saying, so wait, you say you don't want the Justice Department to be weaponized, but actually you do. You actually do want President Biden to intervene. You just want him to do it in a way which is beneficial to your party's frontrunner and to your party by making this extraordinarily unprecedented concession that, guys, even if you have credible evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime, don't worry about prosecuting him because we're having an election. That's what you want Joe Biden to say. Number one, you have no evidence, none, that a Republican president, if the shoe was on the other foot, would ever say anything like that, ever. And number two, we actually have evidence to the contrary. And number three, even if we didn't, it would still be stupid. Donald Trump is a citizen whom the justice system has determined is at least credibly accused of committing a crime. And so, like every other citizen, he should face trial. He should not be granted certain privileges and perks simply because he's a former president or a powerful political figure. That is the opposite of rule of law. And again, we all know this. If the shoe was on the other foot, if Kevin McCarthy would not be advocating for this, he'd be like, no, of course, it may be inconvenient to then candidate Joe Biden, but Joe Biden is an American citizen and he's subject to the laws of this country like anybody else. And why is Joe Biden a Democrat asking for any sort of special dispensation as a private citizen? Is he above the law? That's what Kevin McCarthy and people like him would be saying if the shoe was on the other foot. So that's what we're going to say here. It doesn't matter that it's politically inconvenient to you. As a matter of fact, you all claim that it's politically advantageous, that these prosecutions and indictments are only helping Trump. Maybe. In which case, you shouldn't be worried about it because it's a political boon. But they are stupidly asking President Biden to step in and meddle in the affairs of the Justice Department, not just at the federal level, right? Because there are two federal prosecutions of Donald Trump, the two Jack Smith cases, the one in Mar-a-Lago pertaining to the documents case, and then the January 6th one in D.C. But he also wants the president of the United States to opine about state-level prosecutions as well in Georgia and in Manhattan. Are you serious? In what other universe would that be acceptable? It's super gross stuff. And again, just proof that the Republicans have no consistent principle on this. They just want an outcome that favors them electorally. And that's it. And by the way, again, by Democrats granting concessions that they themselves would never grant if the shoe was on the other foot. So again, we need to ruthlessly debunk and make fun of them, belittle them, taunt them. Kevin McCarthy's an idiot. He's a hypocritical, lying weasel who should be made fun of. That's what we should do, and we should delight in it. One more clip.
But it goes back to one question.
Yeah.
Does anybody in America believe President Trump would be holding this trial now if he wasn't running for president? That's the number one issue. So even
I don't know what he means by holding this trial. Does he mean would Donald Trump be in trial if he weren't running for president? I mean, probably, right? If the evidence is that he's committed a crime, I don't even understand the question. Actually, as a matter of fact, you could easily make the argument that he has been granted so much latitude because he is a former president and political rival to the current incumbent president. We've talked about this in previous videos, how we have credible reporting from the Washington Post and elsewhere that Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Justice Department under Garland slow-walked the investigation into Donald Trump precisely because they were worried how it would look, which in and of itself is a political consideration. You might make the argument that no, if he weren't running for president, he would have been in trial months ago because they wouldn't have been worried about, oh my God, we gotta give him 7 additional layers of protection and consideration in a way that we never would for the average private citizen because he's a political candidate. Food for thought. So anyway, I mean, you can tell Howard Kurtz is just completely flabbergasted by this. Fact-checking Kevin McCarthy twice. Just Kevin McCarthy, this might be his worst interview, and he said some really stupid things. But I love the fact that even on the Fox Propaganda Network, the host is scratching his head saying, no, that's wrong. And wait, no, you do want this person to intervene just in a way that's beneficial to you? Love this stuff. This is the rare moment of excellent journalism from the Fox Propaganda Network. So we got to celebrate it when we can, and especially celebrate it when it's being directed where it should be, against stupid Republicans. Let me know what you think in the comments.